Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Lesson 42, Ritual Tools and Uses Continued. I was going over some of the larger, more general questions pertaining to whether or not you need tools that I've received, which, yes, you do, especially when beginning. It just makes everything so much more focused and powerful and honestly easier, which is invaluable when you're beginning and have limited experience. Along with questions about whether you should make your own tools or receive them by other means, whether or not that's all right. Either is going to be applicable. There are people who are going to be okay with buying what they use, or people that are going to need to buy what they use because they can't create it for themselves. But making your own tools that are required within specific formal traditions will always be more powerful, both for you and your craft. Alexandrian Wicca, for instance, doesn't require that you make your own altar cloth. That you can buy, you can choose at will, although it does need to pertain to some specific guidelines. But you have to choose your own altar and your own space. So in that way, you have to make that tool. So you can see how there is sometimes a balance between purchasing or being gifted or inheriting items along with making items. But when it comes to a formalized tradition that demands you make a specific magical tool, I would say 100% of the time you should be doing that. Tools work better when made by you. Making them generates a greater ability for them to hold and channel power after you begin moving through the different grades of your magical initiation system, whatever it may be. In most formal forms of Hermetic occult systems, the tools are made by the initiate or the novitiate during the grade that then results in their use at its ending or fulfillment. So by the time you reach the end of a grade, you will have finished construction of that tool and be capable of using it. For instance, you create your air dagger during the elemental air grade, and then upon completion of that grade, now receive unto yourself the object you've made and use of that tool before crossing the threshold into your next level of training. And there's a good common sense reason for that practice, along with all the important magical reasons. Having to make the tool yourself, handle every part of it, design and generate it physically while focusing on its purpose and future use, meditating on what it is fully and what it will be used for, is vital to its purpose and ability to serve its wielder well, because it's vital to that user's subconscious mind. There's a reason lightsabers in Star Wars are made by their holders or passed on to their holders in legacy. There's a very common sense to why those sabers then carry the signature of their masters and work best and most powerfully for the one individual light knight that made them. Much like a sword having one owner, which is a very traditional idea until it comes into loyalty of another. It's the same idea. Now, that isn't to say someone else can't pick up a dropped lightsaber like in the science fiction Star Wars, right? And use it as a weapon. Sure, they can pick it up and use it, but it's going to work best for and always give fealty first and foremost to its true owner, to the most powerful hand that can call upon it. And that's usually the hand that made it. The wand, sword, saber, antheme, chalice, etc. will always answer first to its true owner, because it is part of its owner and a symbol of the level attained by that wielder, kind of like a badge of office. So yes, when and wherever you are able, make your own tools, make them yourself, or at the very least, take the time to seek out and respond to those tools that call to you or that you inherit in apprenticeship, possibly from your mentors, rather than buying whatever looks fanciest on a shelf just kind of randomly. It really is the difference between working to earn something and it having meaning and therefore power, and just being given it or handed it. Anyone who's ever accomplished any difficult goal will tell you those things you have to work for carry more value and have a greater emotional and energetic impact. They do. You see this in, the common public rumors of you can't buy your own tarot cards, right? They have to be given to you or you have to make them. That's a deeper occult knowledge that's being it's a little foggy the way it's being passed down publicly in those rumors, but it's that same idea. What you take pride in is going to, among other things, have a specifically powerful and useful psychological effect on you in a way that something someone has just given to you can't. When you hold and use something that you're pleased with yourself, something that you made, something that you take pride in, right? So you're pleased with yourself. Your mentality, your focus, your overall vibration are going to be higher and more honed than if you're holding some random object that doesn't have any meaning or matter much to you. So some tools and their uses, I should probably just list a few of them, right? You have the antheme, a ritual magic dagger. It's used purely ceremonially, sealed and sanctified, and usually stored on a consecrated altar or in a consecrated space. That's a very common magical tool. In the Golden Dawn tradition of formalized Hermetic high magics and Enochian magics, you have implements such as planetary banners, earth pentagram, fire wand, air dagger, water chalice. Again, all blessed and sanctified, along with evocation and invocation circles and triangles of manifestation, sigils and seals, each used specifically for workings of their own element or own kind of call and response, right? You use the tool that's going to be most useful to you in this ceremony. So if you're saying trying to make it rain, you're probably going to involve a water chalice somewhere in that ritual, right? So something to aid in control of specific elements or outcomes or elementals. Altar cloths come in all shapes, sizes, and denominations. They're used widely in just about every religion or magic tradition. They serve to focus energy and contain what could be volatile energies in a way that can be easily tapped into and worked with, especially in front of others. So it's not just a great visual tool for its user, but you'll see, say, in masses and religious masses, how everyone's focus is going to go to an altar space. And that altar cloth is a part of that, much the way a geomancy board or divination board or cloth focuses energy into a specified area. Altars themselves come in all shapes and sizes as well, and they don't always use or need cloths, depending on the individual and the ceremony being performed. Many of the most powerful and famous altars, very secret, many are very occult, right, are flat stone and wood surfaces found in nature, never made by human hands, especially within the Wiccan and pagan traditions. The royalty of Europe still seals itself when they take the throne upon a rock, which in a very real way is its own form of magical tool and altar, although it's a stone that sits beneath the throne, right? So you also have things like ingredients that are tools, right? Wine chalices that hold the wine, sacred bread and salts of the body and of the earth, crystals. These are also all invaluable tools used quite commonly in most religious and magical ceremonies, differing in their application depending again on the ceremony being performed or the tradition being used. Tossing bones, rune chits, or casting stones all refer to the same thing. That's another tool that crosses many traditions in different ways, and they are usually employed uniquely in divination practices, right? To call down, to find answers to specific information. There are also many ritual tools used in magic that you wouldn't even think of as tools. It would be impossible to list them all, as even a feather, right? Or a resonant stone, or a stick, found object, if you're Wiccan out on a hike, can be and become employed to great effect in its own way. That can be a magical tool. Just as burning sage or incense of all kinds, as offerings, aids, evocational tools, can, again, within Wiccan, pagan, shamanic ritual practices, as well as more formalized systems of the great work, be called a ritualized tool of magic. The important thing to take away from beginning to learn about, make, and then perhaps start working with your own magical items, your own sacred tools of any sort, is that you are your best and strongest magical tool. So the way you feel, your energy, your frame of mind, the optimism, authority, worthiness you feel, those are crucial to your magical workings. Any symbol, object, or patterned chant, idea, mantra, ritualized object, tool that provokes, engages with, and amplifies that resonance of authority and worthiness and pleasure, that is going to be a powerful occult object for your personal use. The subconscious, which is what is going to give you access to your magic, is affected by symbolism. And the simpler, more forthright, comprehended fully symbolism that can be employed is going to have the most powerful effect. To your subconscious mind, the objects you use are important, even though you don't know that's going on underneath the surface. They have an incredibly potent psychologic and energetic effect on you. A confident and self-worthy mindset is what sets the beginning initiate apart from those who aren't following a system of magic, aren't initiated, haven't begun working with occult practices, possibly privately or informally. But there is that very real difference between them and the majority of people that aren't involved in magic, that they're beginning to generate and then build upon that structure within themselves is how you will progress in magic. Not that the other symbols, energies, and virtues carried by, say, ritual objects, like magical tools, aren't important. They are. But overall, their most important attribute across the board, if it's a chalice or a blessed incense burner, water asperger, is the effect they invoke in their user, you. So any ritual tool you use, whether made, inherited, or acquired in some other way, not only should, but needs to provoke that sense of worthiness, confidence, and masterful power in you. Making the object yourself is one of the easiest ways to get there, but it's not absolutely necessary. Magic isn't something we do, after all, right? It's something we are, something we become, and are becoming, and then become again. We move forward, we move back. You will be the elite, honed, highest ascendant tool of magic in the end. In a very real way, you already are. You just don't realize it yet. So every tool you use to get there should inspire that sense of majesty, accomplishment, self-assurance, trust that you have in you and your own abilities. When magic fails, it usually fails to manifest because most neophytes or beginners have a deep-seated belief, like most people, that they are somehow undeserving, or unworthy or less than they are at a subconscious level, that something is wrong or not good enough or not right. We are exactly who we are supposed to be. We are learning those lessons we need to learn. And learning lessons is messy. That doesn't make them unworthy lessons. We are each of us on our own leg of a journey, and that means we are, all of us, exactly as we are meant to be in every single moment. There is no shame there. There is no such thing as not good enough. But the majority of people have that core belief instilled in their subconscious. Ritual tools and magic help to get past that, help to get them past that so that they can start doing the work necessary, right? The tools of the trade we use in early initiate magic and then moving forward as we progress are how we break through that wall of hindrance that most people have set up for themselves or that has been imposed upon them mentally. The symbols and objects that hold those symbolic idea forms are how to bypass the nonsense, untruths of unworthiness and insecurity many people have been conditioned to, so that they can reclaim access to their own inherent power. So the power and use of ritual tools in magic cannot be overvalued, overestimated, right? It is invaluable. Ritual tools are invaluable to their users. Just like a yoga mat is invaluable to the person who does yoga on it every day. Your highest self, that you are simply re-greeting, already knows how powerful, able, ascendant, and perfect you are. That you are part of a system that's beyond fathoming. And it's a beautiful system. The objects, methods, and systems we use are simply the first step along a spiral, allowing us access to remembering that, to acknowledging and embracing that certainty, so that we, the ultimate tool of the craft in physical form, can use that power at will with purpose. Until next time.